Welcome back to Good Gym, guys. We got the good surrounding behind us again now. Okay, so every day we come to you at 12:30 live. For you guys, you can come on. You can ask nutrition questions, exercise questions, mindset questions, and recovery questions. When I first started doing this, when I first started getting into this, I got my first strength and conditioning book in 1997 from Virginia Hilliard. That's my grandma. My grandma has always kind of represented a safe place for me in my life. It was pretty cool relationship, and some of it's probably because I was the most, apparently this is what everybody says, that I was the most like her husband. So we've always had a tight-knit relationship, but she noticed that I was really into strength and conditioning because I was lifting everything I could in sight, and she got me this book on strength and conditioning, tore that sucker apart, and went and got, and then experimented with what I learned, and then went and got another book, and then went and got another book, and went and got another book, and experimented with this stuff over and over again. Eventually I had to add a nutrition book, so I went strength and conditioning, nutrition, strength and conditioning, nutrition. Eventually I thought there was all this mindset stuff wrapped into all these books, right? There's all this mindset stuff wrapped into all of these books. And so I picked up a mindset book. The first one's a sports psychology book called The ABCs of Baseball, actually. And then eventually recovery became it was like, oh, well, duh, like so much of this stuff is in the recovery. It's when you eat well, and when you relax, and when you sleep is when you get all the gains. And it was like, that's what health is really based on, isn't it? That's what all this stuff is based on. Being a healthy athlete or being a healthy person in life, it doesn't really matter. Mindset, nutrition, exercise, recovery, they all four matter. If you don't have all four, you're going to be hurting pretty bad. Okay, something's going to go wrong with your health if you don't have all four of those. And mindset is much more than just positive thinking. It's even much more than just the two questions. Are you going to be all in today, or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough today? It's even more than those. But all of our fears kind of come back to that thing, all of our unreasonable fears. When you get in a fight with your significant other, your kids, your siblings, whatever it is, source it back. I bet you got scared that you weren't enough. You weren't enough for the truth. You weren't enough for them to show up on time. You weren't enough for, for them to be nice. Whatever it was. You found yourself not enough for it. And that's also a really good perspective on responsibility. If you can take responsibility for that thing, for your feelings, thoughts, actions, and behaviors, then you don't have to be at the whim of the weather or the people in your surroundings or anything. You are 100% responsible for you. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent on why we do this show. But yesterday's show, tell me what you guys thought, because I thought Kelly did an awesome job. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. It was really interesting to talk with her about some stuff, and the courage that it takes to make things public, and finding out along the way just what your story is actually made of, because a lot of people have that same, I think everybody has that same story that Kelly was talking about. Some of us take a little bit more drastic approach to it than others. Like Kelly and I both had that similar, we both have these really athletic bodies. From the outsider looking in, you would have said that person's got everything going for them. For me, as the captain of every sports team, I'm this tall guy, like all these things going for me. So for me to say like, nah, I hate myself, that seems ridiculous. Why would someone that has everything going for them still hate themselves and still be driven so hard to become something they're not? And I think everybody kind of deals with this on some level. Everybody kind of deals with, I hate this about my body. Like, I bet you in less than 10 seconds, you can find 5 things that you don't like about your body right now. You can say I wish that my arms were longer. I wish my shoulders were broader. I wish that my legs were more streamlined. If you guys have been around me, I've got some honking legs, right? You can that was like 10 seconds right there. I listed off 3. I bet you guys can do the same. And I bet you if you took 10 minutes, you might be able to get one thing out of your mouth that said, this is what I like about my body. And even then, you'd probably feel like squeamish to say it. You'd probably be like, oh my God, can I really say that I like this about my body? Like for instance, I got huge eyebrows, right? Well, I kind of like my eyebrows. But you would talk to me 15 years ago to say anything like that would have been like, you can't say that about your body. What do you mean? What do you mean that you go liking something about you? The rest of the world's not going to like it that you like something about you. The rest of the world's going to try to, that's you cooping up bullshit in your head, right? I think all of us go through this to a certain extent where we don't like something about us and it ends up being projected out into the rest of our lives, because I think that your internal transcends out. So if you're beautiful inside, it's going to transcend to the outside. Even if you're not aesthetically pleasing, just because you have this wonderful beauty inside of you, you're going to exude beauty on the rest of the world. And I think the other side comes in too. If you're constantly stressed and you're constantly trying to one-up somebody else and you're constantly trying to be better than everybody else around you because you don't find yourself enough, you're not going to have all the relationships that you want. You're not going to have the health that you want. You're not going to have the mental clarity that you want. You're not going to have the life that you want. You're going to end up probably depressed. You're going to fight who you are. There's a video that's going to come out pretty soon that we filmed last Saturday that I'm really excited to see how everybody responds to it, because what it's about embracing. It's a 60-second video. It's about embracing who you really are. So I think that that's what it comes down to. But to go on past that, what are we talking about today? And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit around workout length, but also what to do when you're not seeing the results that you want. So what do? So let's say you're putting in the work, you're putting in the exercise, right? So you have taken the time to put in the exercise, you're doing two workouts per day. So you're working out for 2 hours a day and you're not seeing the results that you want. What do you do? This is the big topic of the day. What do you do if you're working out twice a day and you're working out hard and you're putting in the time and you're putting in the effort and you're putting in the focus? What do you do? What do you do? Because actually it sucks. I've been there. Where you're not only feel like you're not making any progress, you feel like you're just beat up. You not only aren't making any progress, when you measure and you kind of figure out if you did make any progress, you find out that you really didn't. The reality was that you didn't make any progress, even though you put in all that work. Now that sucks, right? That blows. Nobody wants that. So what do you do? All right. Well, first of all, the first question needs to be, how long have you been doing this? Because patience matters. Number one is going to be patience. Okay? Number one thing that you can possibly do, patience. And I know that sucks to hear. But you're going to have to do a ton of work, a ton of consistent work over a long period of time, long meaning like months, years, to maybe accomplish what you want to accomplish. The bigger your goal is, the more action you're going to have to take within that time frame to be able to get to where you want to go. Like your body can only stack on so much muscle in a certain amount of time, regardless of how hard you worked or how good your nutrition is or how much you recovered or how good your mindset is. You're going to be limited to the confines of your physical nature and environment that we live in, okay, your genetics, right? So you have to have patience. So what I'm saying is, have you been only doing this for like 6 weeks? Have you been doing this for 6 months? And at some point, you have been doing it long enough that you can say, well, I've been working out for 2 years, 2 times a day, 5 days a week, and I'm not seeing the results that I wanted to see in month 1. Well, then we need to move on to number 2. And I'm not talking about taking a poop. I mean, we're talking about moving on to the number 2 thing, which is you got to change something. Something's got to change in that thing. For instance, what kind of exercise are you doing? If you're jogging for 1 hour in the morning and you're jogging for 1 hour at night, you're probably trashing your body to an extent that it doesn't know what to do with you. It's adjusted its metabolism it's adjusted the amount of calories that it's going to use while you jog for that hour, to the point that you're not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything with your fat. It's not going to do anything with your muscle. It's not going to do anything. Really, all you're doing is building stiffness in your body, because your body doesn't build stability on its own. It'll just give you stiffness because it doesn't know what else to do to protect it from you. So we got to change something. What are we going to change? We have to, so if that's the case, we got to analyze what we're actually doing. If we're just jogging morning and night, then we got to change that. We got to add in some lifting. I know that I say this a lot, but strength and power make the enormous difference in your progress. You have to have strength and power. You don't get to get out of these things. We don't live in a society that fosters this on its own. We have technology, we have cars, we don't Flintstone it around anymore. We have to have some way to drive strength. We have to pick up heavy things if we want to be healthy. We have to have strength. We have to have power. And the way to get those is by doing the things that you need to do, by moving things, by doing exactly what I just said. So you got to change something, all right? If you're not seeing the progress that you want, you have to change something. Jogging twice a day isn't going to get it done. You have to look at how you're actually doing it. Really, if you look at jogging, when I say trashing your body, I mean that not in a general sense. I mean that for exactly what I'm saying. When you jog for a certain amount of distance, the amount of stress that you're putting on your body is astronomical. Okay? People like to think that lifting is more stressful to your body than jogging for long distances, but really they're fairly comparable in a lot of ways, but you would have to lift an outrageous amount to even get close to comparing to the stress that it would take to run 5 miles. Okay? Your body takes you take about 1,500 to 2,000 steps per mile. So if you're running 5 miles, someone do the math on that for me. It's a lot of miles. So maybe 6,000 steps to run a mile. Every time that your foot hits the ground, you're absorbing about 2 to 3 times the force of the weight of your body. So you can't just do that like straight out, like, math equation and be like, oh, this is how much stress there is. But that's a lot, like you can tell that's a lot of accumulated reps. It's a lot of accumulated stress. It's not necessarily good for your body. And what ends up happening is we can torch out our thyroid. We end up screwing with our metabolism because it's actually going to adjust for that, because you are the most adaptive creature that has ever been on the face of the earth. Okay? Your body can go to outer space. No other animal in the history of the world has ever gone to outer space. You are the only one. Okay? That's how adaptive human beings are. So and if you look at Darwin's theory wasn't that the fittest survived. Darwin's theory was based on that the most adaptable survived. The species that could adapt the best to any environment was the one that survived. So you are the most adaptable species that there is on the face of the earth because your brain makes you so, but also your genetics have just made you that way. So what I'm saying is you have to change something along the way. If something isn't going the way that you want it to, your body is adjusted for it, and now you got to make a change. You've got to make a change. Even if in Grit Gym, if we have you for 6 months and we don't see the change that we wanted to see, we've got to go back to the drawing board and we've got to change some stuff up. Maybe you needed more metabolic workouts and you needed less lifting. Maybe you needed more cardio type stuff, but I almost guarantee you that it's going to come down to number 3. Because number 3 is what really gets everybody. Number 3 is what torches everybody out from the progress that they want. So number 1, you had to have patience, because you're going to have to put in a lot of work for a long time to be able to get you what you want. Now, you got to be in a hurry to get there, but you have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the time. And then 2, you got to probably change what you're doing. What you're doing isn't getting you where you wanted to go, so you got to change something. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting what you always had. Number 3 is you got to allocate. You're doing 2 hours of workouts in one day. That's a lot of time. 2 hours, like adding time to something doesn't make it better. If I take 4 hours to do a job that could have taken me 15 minutes, that job is not now, 8 times better? It's not 8 times better. It's 16 times better. It's not 16 times better. Why would it be is that the right math? I don't even know. But it's not better because I took a 15-minute job and made it into a 4-hour job. Just because you worked out for 2 hours doesn't make that workout better. If you would have slammed that workout into 1 hour, I guarantee you that workout would have been better than if you went for 2 hours. So what do you do with that other hour? You got to allocate. Okay? All of us have trouble with recovery. All of us have trouble with mindset. Some of us do pretty well with nutrition, and a lot of us do very well with exercise in the sense that we actually get exercise. So follow that road. Okay, so at least we're getting the exercise. We're working out 2 times a day, right? So we're getting in our exercise. We've been patiently working hard in a hurry to get to where we want to go. And we've made changes along the way to optimize what we're doing, which means that you came into Grit Gym and came to your senses, right? And then now we're like, okay, well, let's squeeze this down to 1 hour and focus on mindset, focus on nutrition, and focus on recovery for that other 60 minutes that you were going to take. Squeeze it down to 1 hour and read a book for 20 minutes. Take a nap for 20 minutes. Oh, I know what I just said. I said take a nap. It's perfectly fine. Naps are great. Okay? You're waking up at the same time every day and you're going to bed at the same time every day. You get to take a nap. You have the discipline to go to bed at 10:30 every night and you have the discipline to wake up at 5:30 every morning. You get to take a nap. So you take a 20-minute nap. That's every day. 20-minute nap per day. I just gave you opportunity and permission to take that 20-minute nap per day in the time you said you didn't have the time, right? Or you could choose meditation in there. And now we still have an extra 20 minutes to food prep. So you also allocate out to nutrition. So book to work on mindset, nap to recover, and you put that extra 20 minutes into another meal that is going to replace that pizza that you have at the end of the night because you're so exhausted from your 2 workouts. I got fly buzzing around my head in here. It's part of the product of having the door open in the summer times. It's awesome because it feels like you're working out outside, but once in a while, you're one of these guys. All right, so the point is, if you're working out 2 times a day and you're not seeing the results that you want, you got to change something, or you got to stick with it longer, or you've got to start thinking of the efforts that you're putting into things, because you're going to have so much effort that you get to put into all things. Now, I know that I say that you got to be committed to all of the priorities in your life, and you do, but this needs to be one of them. If you're not making the progress that you want, it's probably due to one of those 4 things. Either you're not getting the exercise that you want, but we've already established that you're working out for 2 hours a day. That means we need to compress that down to 1 hour. Now we're left with an extra hour. What do we do with that extra hour? Take a nap. Read a book. Meal prep. Someone the other day was talking to me about how meal prep is very difficult for them because of the amount of time that it takes. Meal prep doesn't have to take long. Here's what I do for meal prep. I make it super simple. I set 10 Tupperwares out, my bad. 5 just ones that, let me back up. I set out 10 Tupperware, and then I make 5 sandwiches, and I make 5 salads. That's my meal. That's how I meal prep. I'm gonna eat breakfast every morning, committed to eating breakfast every day, okay? And at night, I'd rather make dinner, or Rachel's going to make dinner, usually, all the time. And then in the middle of the day, what do you eat? Because in a bind, what are you going to reach for? Are you going to reach for junk, or are you going to reach for something good? So meal prep can be really easy. That doesn't take long. To make 1 big salad and disperse it out into 5 different Tupperwares, and then make 5 sandwiches. And there's not like people that are like the carb freaks out there. What was the analogy we used the other day? Someone was talking about this article that this guy did where he talked about that if you starve cancer of sugar, you'll never get cancer, which is absolutely bogus. There's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. There's nothing wrong with sugar, even for endomorphs. It's okay. It's when you eat an entire loaf of bread that's the problem, or when you eat pixie sticks of sugar, that you're just bombarded with the sugar, or you're bombarded with the bread, or you're bombarded with the carbohydrate. You don't have to think of it that way. So when you get to that point of food prepping, just make it simple. 5 salads, 5 sandwiches, super easy. But what did we go over? We went over some mindset stuff with Kelly Hart, talking about her struggles and how she overcame them and how it's really cool, which is amazing. If you guys have the chance, go back, watch that video from yesterday. I thought it was really good. I thought she did fantastic. Also, what do you do when you're not seeing the kind of progress that you want? Well, you got to have the patience to stick with it. You have to have the consistency to keep pushing forward. That's a big one. If you don't consistently push forward, everything's going to fall apart. It's the consistency every single day. I'm a big believer, and if it's important, you do it every day. So I have to, if I tried to work out 3 times a week, I would never work out. If I tried to work out 1 time a week, I would never work out. If I tried to work out every single day, I will work out every single day, because you just make it a part of your life. It's not something that you have to force yourself to do. It's just something that you do. That's really important. And it's the same thing with food. It's the same thing with mindset. It's the same thing with recovery. You go to bed at the same time every night. You never hit that snooze button in the morning. You wake up and so that you wake up at the same time every day. That extra 15 minutes of sleep that your snooze button gave you just torched the rest of your day, and it gave you your first loss of the day. You need to get that first win. That's your recovery. Okay, so when you're talking about this stuff, you have to have the patience to work your way out. If your program isn't working for you, well, or if you've been patient in how far you've come, no worries, no big deal. We got to change something though. If you've been putting in 2 hours of work every day for the last 6 months, we got to change something. Okay? And we probably need to squeeze that workout into 1 hour so that we can put 60 minutes towards your nutrition, or 60 minutes towards your mindset, or 60 minutes towards your recovery. And I think that you should do all 3. I think you should food prep, I think you should read a book, I think you should take a nap. Sounds kind of funky, right? Sounds kind of funky. If you guys can take the time, please hit the share button, send this out. Obscurity is our biggest problem. It's pretty cool what the world has been telling us through social media. I can't, like, the gratitude that goes through me and the appreciation that that you guys have expressed for these videos. I'm the one who benefits out of that. I hope that you guys get equal amount of benefit. If you guys get equal amount of benefit out of what I've gotten from your responses, then this is a pretty cool deal. But I really think if we cohesively cooperate, really great things are going to happen. And there's so much good that can happen in the world that it's pretty amazing. But yeah, please hit the share button, send this out. If you like the message that we put out, even better. If you hate the message we put out, please tell me what you hate about it. Tell me what you like about it. Also, if you guys have any topics that you want me to cover, write me a message. I'm always up for questions. Really, a lot of this stuff is fairly simple. When Bruce Lee has an interview where he gets asked, I don't remember the question, but his response is that when he first started martial arts, a kick was just a kick and a punch was just a punch. And then once he got into it, and that's how, exercise and nutrition, all that stuff was to me. It's just like, what do you mean? Food is food, eat your vegetables, eat your meats, and exercise was like, well, you just go lift weights, you just do it. And same thing with the recovery was like, oh, you just sleep a lot. And mindset was like, you just think positive thoughts. Like, what's complicated about that? And Bruce Lee said that when he got into it further, when he got like 10 years in to learning about martial arts, he said it got really complicated. A kick wasn't just a kick anymore, and a punch wasn't just a punch anymore. It was complicated. And I got to that point too. I was like, man, this is so complicated. There's so many options. There's just so much to do. Like, there's this diet and this diet and this diet and this diet, and there's this theory and there's this research, and everything's so like, what do you believe? What do you not believe? Like, what's bullshit? What's real? And same thing with exercise. Same thing with mindset. Same with recovery. Who's got the answers? Like, I went down the Christianity route for a while. There's a lot of wisdom there. I went down like the different religions and tried to study them, and try to study Buddhism, try to study all these things, and a lot of wisdom and all those things. But when it really comes down to it, it's like there's a lot of different things that go into the mindset game. It seems so complicated. And talked to a lot of sports psych coaches, talked to a lot of professionals, talked to a lot of counselors about like their profession and how they did it and what they did and why they did it. Talked to a lot of psychologists, same thing. So that was the mindset thing. Recovery, exercise, nutrition. I talked to so many professionals and got taught and learned and worked with so many really great people that eventually like led to some really good things that I got to learn, right? So where was I going with that? Anyway, so later on, in Bruce Lee, in his final statements, he was like, he said that now that he was a master martial artist, that he was back to where it seemed really simple. A punch was just a punch, and a kick was just a kick. And I think a lot of this stuff kind of seems that way to me, so it's kind of hard to relay the message. So if you guys have questions, you have anything that you find to be complicated, that you find that you're not quite sure how it works, or even just a blanket statement of how you think something works, I think that a lot of the time I'm not I can give a perspective that might make it seem a little bit more coherent and might make more sense to you, I hope. So if you guys have any questions like that, I would really like it because it helps me come up with these videos. But thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday. I don't think that's an interview, but I think I have a wild topic for everybody to go on there. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I will see you on Monday.